This might be titled like a review of the A1 Mini. I already forgot what it was. But it's more of me sharing my experiences as someone who is semi new to 3D printing, someone who's definitely still a beginner, someone who has had many 3D printers and ultimately ended up returning all of them, and how my experience has been different with the A1 Mini, and sharing all the things that I like and dislike about it and the experience of 3D printing, how 3D printing is now for someone who is a complete noob. So if you're an experienced 3D printer, instead of yelling at me for something I got wrong in this video, I would appreciate that you educate me kindly. There are going to be many points in this video where I have questions and I would like answers, and please just don't be annoying and rude about it. Because that's all of my 3D printing videos so far, is I've gotten rude comments from armchair experts. And while this is a review of sorts, obviously I'm not an expert. Go watch the 3D Printing Nerd or any other channel. But if you want to hear the experience of a real noob that is pretty smart when it comes to a lot of technology stuff, but doesn't have a ton of experience with 3D printers, a ton of good experience, then you're in the right place, I guess. I have a whole box of poop and misprints and also just these things supports. That's what they're called. See, I'm a noob. But let's start at the beginning. I've told this story a couple times on the internet, but I got my first 3D printer. It was like the Ender 3 back in like 2020. I ended up returning that within 30 days to Amazon because that's where I bought it. I thought it was cool. There were some things that I liked about it, but ultimately it was just too much work and not as easy as I thought it was going to be, even though everybody on YouTube and the internet said, this is a great beginner printer and it's so easy. It wasn't easy for me. Maybe to you it is, but it wasn't to me. And I ultimately kind of ruined it. I let's just leave it at that. I ruined it, and thankfully Amazon took it back. I don't know if it was my fault or the printer. I don't know. I was not near enough educated as I thought I would be. Anyways, from there I tried two different resin printers. A smaller one that I liked, but it wasn't big enough for what I wanted to do, and then I got a returned that and got a bigger sized resin printer. And then I did a couple of things with it and ultimately returned that one because resin printers are a lot of work. Even though I really did kind of enjoy that printer and what it was capable of, it was just too much work to clean it up and it was so smelly. It just wasn't for me. And then years went by, no 3D printer, waiting for prices to come down, waiting for printers like this. I think FDM printers to get to a point where they were just plug and play, super easy. And I saw a lot of ads for Bamboo Labs, and it has been great. I bought the A1 Mini because it was dirt cheap. I don't remember how much I actually paid for it, but I want to say it was less than $300. And it has all of the auto features I was dreaming of. It was literally pick a file in the app and print it. It's so easy. And starting there, I'll forget about this real quick. They give you quite a few free gifts. Like we've got some tea light candles in here that I've used a few of. Some of these I just used for pumpkins in October. And then there was one where I made like a Christmas tree that puts a light, one of those lights in there. And then I haven't used this yet. I don't really know what to use it on, but they're two little puck lights that have RGB values on them. They're cool, but ultimately I don't know what to use with them. And then I made this thing out of a scraper. I'm pretty sure I've installed this wrong, but it works better than the other ways I've seen people screw them together. Anyways, I still have like grease. I believe these are just, lubricant grease. I should probably re-grease this, but I haven't used it in a while. We'll talk more about that later. I don't remember if I bought the adhesive or it came with it. I don't remember. More oil, more lubricant, and then a bunch of magnets, and then this needle for fixing things. There's some lube on here. Nice, my fingers are greasy. And then I bought this. I bought a new plate that is exactly like the one that it comes with. And I didn't know that it came with a textured one like this, and that it had, oh, it doesn't have anything on the other side. Well, look at that. Okay, well, I guess as I'm recording my review, I'm learning that this does have a use, that it's not completely pointless that I bought it, because it has the smooth side. This has just texture on both sides. I did not know that. But even still, I feel like I kind of wasted my money buying this, because this one's been great. I haven't even opened up the adhesive. My first FDM printer, I pretty much put glue on the plate every single time, and that was a huge help. With this, there's really no need. I've never felt the need to use any glue at all. So some people will disagree with me, I'm sure. I know why you do it, because obviously I had to do it in the past. I just haven't had to do it with this one, and I really haven't had any failures when it comes to the layers sticking to the bed. On top of that, I bought some translucent PETG that I honestly kind of regret getting. And then I bought some white PLA that was also the Bamboo Lab brand. And I didn't really have any issues with the white PLA. I have since run out of it, but it was good. And honestly, I'd probably buy it again, but it's just a little expensive. I have no problems with the Bamboo Lab filament. I do feel like they have some settings that they mess with to make it so their filament prints better than the other brand's filament, but it's probably just a conspiracy theory that I'm making up in my head. So I almost don't even want to include that in the video because I don't want to put that out into the world, but I'm sure many people have said that before me. Instead of buying more of the Bamboo Lab stuff, I bought this stuff from Flashforge. I bought 8 spools. I got black, white, purple, blue, green, and red. And I have used a lot of filament. Oh, there's the red. I've used a lot of it. The white is completely gone. The black is almost entirely gone. It's been decent enough. I kind of want to try getting more Bamboo Lab stuff just to see if maybe something got messed up and it's just my printer that's like having these problems. It's not really, they're not big issues. I'll get to it in a minute. But I wanted to see if maybe going back to the Bamboo Lab PLA would do better than the Flashforge stuff. But it's probably just this is not brand new anymore, even though it's only like 3 months old. Some of these magnets were included with the purchase of part of my free gift things, but I think the smaller magnets I had to buy separately because the smaller magnets for these stupid things were needing the smaller magnets. Not all of them, but some of them were. And then the last of the free gifts that I'll talk about is the wireless mouse thing. That was one of my free gifts. I think that was like my mystery thing because you can get a couple of different things. I thought it was cool. I actually really like the feel of the mouse. I like a big mouse because I have fairly large hands, not ginormous hands. I can palm a basketball. I've said this way too much on the internet. I don't know why I say it so often, but I like how large the mouse is. It feels good in my hands. My problem with it is it doesn't work. I don't know if I have like a bad optical sensor or what. It almost feels like the print kind of blocks the laser. It just does not work. Every once in a while I can get to move like this much on the screen. This mouse just won't work for me. It turns on, it connects, it feels great. It just doesn't work. I can't move the cursor. That's kind of the whole point of the mouse. So, unfortunate, but I already have a couple of mice that I can use. It's not a big deal. It's not like it was going to replace my MX Master 3. But let's talk about a few of the things that I've been printing. Majority of what I've been printing, stands. Game Boy Advance stands, N64 stands, and PlayStation. Just all, literally, almost all of my controllers and handhelds. Anything gaming related that needs a stand pretty much has a stand now. And I will shout out to Rose Colored Gaming. Love their stuff. Great acrylic stands, but as good as their stands are, it costs a lot of money if I want to buy, I don't know, 100 of them because I have a lot of controllers and handhelds and a lot of other things that can use stands. And wow, this cost me a couple $100 and all of this filament costs a lot of money too. I can print a lot of stands for the same price and still be able to do other projects with this filament. I've also made cookie cutters for my mom because she likes to do a lot of baking. She likes to do a lot of cookie design. She's getting really good at it. And I wanted to make some cool, like Disney and Bluey themed cookie cutters for her because she was telling me about some of the people that she follows that make cookie cutter STL files and they 3D print them. I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know you could 3D print cookie cutters. So I've done that. I've made little trinkets for friends and family members. But most of what I've done is stuff from my collection. And these are the good ones that I've done. But some of them just don't work. Man, this is probably really hard to see on camera, but a lot of stringing on some of these things that just never materialized. But like the bases always work out. What I would like to know, this is kind of based around the cookie cutters for the most part. What's the best way to take care of stringing like this? Because like this is annoying. This kind of stuff, this is annoying, and I don't know how to fix that. One, it would be nice to be able to fix that so it just doesn't happen, period. But what can I do to remove it easily in post after the fact, after it's printed? Because like there's a few bits of like light stringing like this that are present on a lot of the cookie cutters that I made my mom, and I don't want to be eating plastic in my cookies. My thought was just to take a toothbrush, like a new toothbrush, and clean it off. And then the bristles, I would imagine, would take the stringing with it since it's easy to just peel off, but it's hard to get your finger in some of these nooks and crannies and stuff. And I figured with like hot soap and water and a toothbrush that should just melt away. But I want to know if there's like a good strategy to prevent it and a good strategy to take care of it if it does happen. That's one of the things I want to know from the 3D printing experts. But please, again, be nice. But things like this happen. Not a big deal. Trying to print on air doesn't always happen, but it worked here. Just didn't work on this side. I don't know. And like things like this happen, which I kind of expected that something like this would happen. But this was a result of me trying to print a GameCube controller stand that just had a floating 45-degree angle. It was like this, and then I created supports for it so it wouldn't do it. But then when I did the supports, it did it in the Nintendo logo, and it's a pain in the butt to remove each and every little piece here. And then on top of that, removing these supports, it just broke the whole freaking thing. So I was like, okay, this is pointless. I've wasted a bunch of filament trying to do this. So, because like I took all of the supports out of another one of these and it ended up just breaking because it just wasn't a good design. I don't know who designed this. I'm not trying to be mean. You should have just made this whole triangle solid. I don't know. But I moved on. I found a different GameCube controller stand that I actually kind of like. And I wanted to do it because I was going to be gone for like a day. And so I was like, okay, I'll just do a long 3D print of these GameCube stands where they're on their side and they print up so I can do 4 at once. And it was like an 18-hour print. And it was going really well. I had them like this. And then in the final hours of the print, when it starts going to that 45-degree angle, it's a different print, different one than the last one. It just started stringing like crazy. And I was so upset because it was fine. It was good enough. I mean, I was like, why do we need supports for the GameCube logo here? I think it would have been fine without it, but there's probably something I could have done about that. I guess it's not that bad trying to remove this, but then it breaks off there. Okay. This was easier than I thought to remove, but still not perfect. And as I'm removing these supports, I'm also realizing that there's a little bit of imperfections going on here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the black on black I've got going on here. I want to replace this table. It's an old table, and I need something like a lighter color so there's better reflection so you can actually see things better on this table. You drop the GameCube controller in like that, and this would have been a really cool GameCube controller holder. 4 of them that are just not usable. I mean, they're usable, but they're not good looking because this happened. And then I think after this is when I made this video where this was happening. And I don't know what I did wrong, but ultimately I ended up like trying to clean out my printer and I didn't really find anything. And then I just like fully reset it and went through all of the calibration things, like the big boy calibrations, not the thing that happens at every print, but like the things you do when you first set it up. I redid those and I've been doing those more frequently, and then I've been avoiding more accidents like this. But then another part to the stringing that I don't like was I was printing a frame for my dad, because me and my sister took a picture out in Disney World when we were on vacation to recreate an old photo of us. And so I was like, oh, I'll just 3D print a picture frame. Like, that'd be cool. And so I did. And this was one of the frames that I found. But there's a lot of stringing going on here in these really tight places that I just can't get to. Because like these are a lot thicker than the stringing that I've shown on like this. Like this, I feel like could come off with a toothbrush. But this is in a tight spot where it's stronger. And so I need something like a craft knife to cut those out. And there's a lot of that occurring in this print, and I don't know why. And I would like to know why. Is it my filament? Are my settings wrong? I've adjusted so many settings of temperature and fan speed, and I've listened to a bunch of Reddit posts, and it just doesn't really get any better. And so I went with a different design for the end result of this that didn't have any cool border designs. So it ended up working out, but it's still just another failed project that is a bunch of filament wasted. And just in general here, I'm gonna move some of these things out of the way. There's a lot of failed prints in here, a lot of supports, a lot of things that I had to throw away, a lot of whatever the heck this is, and a whole lot of poop. If you are not familiar with the term poop in the 3D printing space, it's exactly as you would probably think. It is the 3D printer pooping out filament. It is a good thing overall, but there's just so much poop that comes out of these prints, and I don't even have the AMS stuff. I can't do the multi-filament, which would produce even more poop, but like the average print for me does like this much poop. Every print, single color, poop. Why? Why does it need to poop so much? And like, I know it's good for like making clogs not happen, stuff like that. It's ultimately a good thing, but I would like a way to be able to take all of my poop, all of my supports, all of my failed prints, and turn it into recycled filament that's like probably gonna end up being some gross brown color. But even still, I would like to be able to reuse my filament. It would be very nice and very convenient because I've wasted so much filament, and that is money that I'm wasting that I just can't use because it has irritable bowel syndrome. For the most part, I really do enjoy 3D printing, and I'm excited to take the next step in actually designing my own things instead of just printing what people have out there. Because one thing I've noticed is people have the same or similar ideas that I have, but they don't execute it the way that I would like. And I'd like to make more stuff, like actually make my own stuff. Maybe sell it, maybe just share it for free, probably both, but do more cool things with 3D printing. And this is still a great start. I'd like to get an AMS. If you see a sponsored video from Bamboo Labs on the main channel, probably just so I could get an AMS. I know there's some controversy with how they've updated their firmware, software, whatever recently. To me, it really doesn't matter. I understand it enough, but to me, I don't need to use anything other than the Bamboo software at this point. Maybe in the future, I'll be annoyed by it. But for a beginning printer, for just starting off, this is great, man. It's awesome. I probably would recommend saving up for the AMS, even if you're just getting the A1 Mini or even the A1, because there's a lot of stuff where I feel like I'm missing out because, oh, I can't do the multicolor prints like everybody posts on the app. All of that stuff is like, oh, yeah, if you use this color, this color, this color, you can do it. in one fell swoop. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to paint. You don't have to sand. It's just great. I mean, you might have to sand a little bit because it's still 3D printing. But like I said earlier, I've printed a lot of stands, and that's the majority of what I've printed is things that I will use to display my collection. And now that I've kind of printed all that I need for that, my printing hours have gone way down. I still find things every now and then that I'm like, oh, I want to print that, and I do it. But I was printing like nonstop for a month and a half, maybe even longer. As soon as the print was done and I could print another one, I was printing it. Like there were only a few times where like I was asleep or I was recording something and I didn't want the noise to disrupt the good sound that I have, or I didn't want to have the loud 3D printer, which it's really not even that loud, but for filming purposes, I didn't want it to like go while I was filming. But even then, certain times I was recording like second channel videos, I was printing anyways, and it was like right next to the camera. The mic's over here, thankfully, and this is a podcasting mic, so it's probably not picked up, but I know some sensitive ears with headphones are gonna be like, what's that noise in the background? But yeah, I don't even think I've printed anything in 2025 yet. I remember, I don't think so, but I printed quite a few Christmas presents slash stocking stuffers, and I was printing every day pretty much since I got this thing in October or maybe September. I think it was late September, early October I got this, and man, I love it. If I could go back, I wouldn't have bought the PETG because one, I think the clear looks ugly when you could see all of the infill. I don't like that. And two, it takes longer to print. And while it is definitely stronger, it's just not necessary. I also like ran out of my white filament and like tried to swap to this mid print and it failed miserably. And I just wasted a bunch of filament. I was pretty bummed about that one. But just in general, I wasn't a huge fan of printing with the PETG. I know it's has its purposes, but for what I'm using it for, there's no need to have it. I do have an idea that I would like to use the clear PETG for, but I'll probably stick with trying everything with PLA until like the final project will probably be with the PETG. But I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give it away when it's not ready yet. I still don't even know how to make a 3D printing file. I don't know how to make a three-dimensional object on the computer. So stay tuned for things I'm going to make. But yeah, I want to do more experiments with different filaments, hopefully cheaper filaments than bamboo. I also like just being able to buy it on Amazon, the filaments, because I can get it here in 2 days and I'm impatient. If you've been on the fence like I have in the past about 3D printing, I think this is a great starting place. And not going to tell you what you should do with your money, but if you do buy an A1 or an A1 Mini, I highly recommend saving up for the AMS because there's a lot of stuff on the app. I didn't even talk about the app. The Bamboo Lab Handy app is just awesome. There is so much. You literally just open it and you find so many cool things, helpful things for whatever. Oh, you can put sticky notes in a pen holder on your monitor. There's a shoehorn if you're 80. Like grips and just, I mean, not everything is helpful, but a lot of stuff is cool on here. Bunch of stands and grips and cases and all the stuff that's just the video game stuff that I care about, or less cool stuff, the more boring stuff where you can hold your lids on the inside of your cupboard door, take up less space. You have a dish soap and a customizable butterfly. But the reason why I say you probably want to save up for the AMS or just buy it if you're rich, like this NES game cart holder, it looks so cool with the multicolors to it. And I printed it, but it's all just white because I don't have the AMS. And I was like, oh, I can just paint it. I'm not going to paint it. I'm lazy. So being able to have the multicolors and have it look cool and not have to do much about it. This looks so much cooler than this. But hey, and there's a lot of stuff that's not just old game cart holders that have multicolors to them. Like this macro faceplate, I could have black and red and like just, I can design it to whatever color I want. Or like this, it's another game cart holder. But I printed this Sega cart holder for the Genesis, and it's like, without the AMS, it is just generic and kind of a waste of space because I could have had one more slot here for the Sega logo that you can maybe, I don't even know if this is going to show up on camera, but I can faintly see it say Sega there. But it would have been a lot cooler if I had an AMS, you know? So I am jealous that I don't have the AMS. So I recommend probably grabbing that. And I really hope that I'm sponsored by Bamboo Lab in the future so they can just send me an AMS and maybe a bigger printer. Because a bigger printer would be nice, honestly. One of the enclosed ones would be cool. But yeah, just being able to scroll through here and find things that you might like is awesome. I love this about Bamboo. But like I said, even cool companies like this have their minor controversies every now and then. To some of you, it might be a major controversy. I don't really care. You can look up all of the new software changes that they've made. I think they've reversed a bit on it, so I think it's all fine now. But if you care about the stuff that they did and that affects where you want to spend your money, then look into that before thinking about buying this or while you're thinking about buying it. Anyways, I think that is actually truly it for me. I'd say I recommend this product. I've never been able to feel comfortable recommending a 3D printer. I recommend the A1 Mini and probably the rest of the Bamboo Lab products. Again, please be kind in the comments and answer my questions. Thank you. I am gonna hopefully learn how to design some 3D files.